line.
Good.
Yep.
All right, Shabbat Shalom to all the brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining us, for those who are obviously here, and then those who might watch this later. Kind of continue what we've been talking about here, going back to Bible study, and we'll look at a few things tonight, and then we will look at some more things tomorrow concerning the time that we're in right now. So, peace and shalom to all the tribes of Israel, to all those whom Yah has scattered, and to whom all Yah has called. We can't be trying to pick and choose and say who Yah has called, not called. It's about a ruach, is that you'll know who Yah has called, or is called. So, shalom to all the brethren, shalom to all those whom Yah has called, shalom to all those who have accepted Mashiach. Shalom to all those who have accepted him, but have not conformed to him. Okay, you need that peace. Okay, especially for the days that are ahead of us. So peace to all those. Peace, as we always say, peace to all those who are struggling, who are not in good places right now. The power of these scriptures, the power of the word can pull you out of whatever place you're in, but you must want to come out of your place. You got to want to come out. That's the main thing. You got to want to. We're going to get right into it tonight. Talk on 6th night. I messed up and said 5th, but I meant 6th. Okay. But the Chanukah training grounds for days ahead. Training ground for days ahead. And we can look at all of the feast of the Torah that Yah has told us to keep. That those feasts, that they have some symbolism. There's something. There are metaphors. There are symbolisms. There are prophetic aspects to the festivals of Yah. There's something about it that we might have to imitate physically, but there's a spiritual aspect to it. And one thing that is said is that, well, when it comes to the Hanukkah or the Chanukah, is that, well, Yah didn't say do it. So it's just, it's just kind of, it is what it is. And we're going to look at this time, and we're going to look at what history tells us and what is recorded in our text, right, in our extra biblical sources. And then we're going to look at where we are today and where we are and where the direction the world is headed. And we're going to see if there are some parallels or things that this will help us at this time, us remembering this time about a Bible study to help us for the days ahead. Okay? You cannot just show up and you ain't had any practice. Okay? I can't go somewhere and say, hey, I want to play this game, and I haven't practiced. I haven't played. Right? So there are aspects of life that are going to happen that we need to have had some rehearsal. So we have some understanding. When you don't have understanding, you get real foolish.
Right.
When you don't have any understanding, we get real foolish. Our emotions lead us.
Yep.
Right? Fear, anger, all this stuff. Just reaching, grabbing. When you know how y'all say, man, you're reaching.
Mm-hmm.
When you ain't got no understanding, you start reaching, right? So when we don't have understanding of Yah, we start reaching for all kind of stuff.
Yep.
We start reaching. We don't have any understanding. Okay? We get real foolish. All right, so Marcus Garvey, he said, a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. So when we, and obviously this time of year is, in my opinion, is open to everybody. But these are actual events that happened. And when we are talking about people who do not have any roots right now, people who are kind of, staggering about their history or their origin or culture, You know, I know one group of people I can point to. Okay, that ain't saying nobody's better, nobody's worse. We just fit in a puzzle piece. Now, I know we live in a time when we can't fit in puzzle pieces without being called people without the history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. So when we look at some of these things that have transpired in the past during this time, the descendants of these people, like, you really got to be paying attention because history repeats. Okay, so if something happened at one point in time, who's to say that it will not repeat again? Okay, all right. So the he-goat. Okay, the he-goat. Should be familiar with the he-goat. Where do we get the he-goat at? What book? What book in the Bible?
Regulations.
Leviticus. What else?
Regulations.
Revelation. Okay. What else?
Then Deuteronomy.
Look at the he-goat. Is his feet on the ground?
No.
Wasn't there a young Daniel? Okay, the he-goat. Right, the he-goat. Right, remember the he-goat was so fast that its feet didn't even touch the ground. Right, remember that? Okay, went to battle with the ram. Okay, let's turn to Daniel, or Daniel, right, Hebrew people. And let's be in verse 1. Okay, Daniel 8, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the king of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in the vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan, in the palace which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulial. Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. And I saw the ram pushing westward, and northward, and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will, and he became great. Right? So we're talking about the ram right here, right? Right? This is the ram that's doing this. Okay? Right? Alright. Verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes, and he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran into him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close to the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast down to the ground, and stabbed upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and came up 4 notable ones towards the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed even great to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And the host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice, and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days. Then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. And it came to pass, when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near, essentially he said, make this man understand the vision. We was just talking about, having, if we don't have understanding, we get real what? Foolish.
Yeah.
So sometimes we need Yah to help us to understand. It's okay to ask Yah to help us to understand. And don't move till you get that understanding. Do not move till you get that understanding. So he came near where I stood. When he came, I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, understand, O son of man, for the time of the end shall be the vision. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me up and set me upright. Remember we talked about when we was looking at Esther a couple weeks ago, that when these brothers are having these deep meetings with the Elohim, or with those from the other side, the righteous ones, that it's like, look, man, I just collapsed. Right? He said, come and hold me up. Come set me up. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation, and for the appointed time the end shall be. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. So now the diagram of the ram and the two horns. So remember we talked about a couple weeks ago about the beast that Babylon sat on. The beast had how many heads? 7 heads. And how many horns?
10.
10 horns, and the horns represented
Kingdoms.
So in this vision, he gets to this ram. The ram had 2 horns. One horn represented the Medes, the kings of the Media, the Medes, and the king of the Persians. Okay? That's why it's called the Medo-Persian Empire. Right? We have two people. Okay? 2 people. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Okay, so we're getting, Alexander the Great. Okay, the first king. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of that nation, but not in his power. Okay, so the 4 generals that took his place. And the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding darknesses shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and holy people. And through his policy, and through his policy, and through his policy. All right, so we get an idea of how things should be in the end. That's why I like to say, Yah will use nature, elements to fight. But your adversary is going to use them laws. Going to use your state laws, county laws, job laws, federal laws. We're headed towards globalization. So global law. Well, prayer was written 4 times. It's written for your learning. Whether or not you're paying attention, you're following you. And through his policy, also shall he cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many, and shall stand up against the prince of princes. But he shall be broken without hand. And the vision of the evening and the morning, which is told, which is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be many days. And I, Daniel, fainted and was sick certain days afterward. I rose up and did the king's business, and I was astonished at the vision, but none understood it. Now imagine having that kind of relationship with y'all. When y'all get through talking, you faint. You sick. Because our body can't handle it. Too much flesh. Too much holiness. Too much holiness. We got too much flesh. And Daniel, Daniel kept himself tight. So I keep myself tight, and I'm sick after we get through talking. In the field, just laying down in the field. So that was Daniel 8, 1 through 27. That was the whole chapter. Okay. So Daniel gets insight about the Medo-Persian power. Okay, which animal represented the Medo-Persian power?
Ram.
The ram. Okay, and their fall by the Grecians. Right, that was the he-goat. So Daniel gets insight about this ram that's just going all over the place, just pushing and just doing whatever he wants to do. And then all of a sudden he sees a goat that's so fast his heels do not touch the ground. It's interesting. So the ram is going pushing this way and this way and this way. So Daniel gets insight about the Medo-Persian power of the ram and their fall by the Grecians, the he-goat, and foretelling of Alexander the Great, because that noticeable long horn was their first king. Okay, Alexander the Great. Don't forget. Right? Don't forget. What do we not? Where was Daniel at? Babylon. Right? The hanging. This was one of the 7th or 8th wonders of the world. The hanging gardens of Babylon. So Daniel is in Babylon, but he's seeing this ram, which represents Persia. Then he sees the he-goat, which represents the Grecians. So Daniel is getting a heads up. Okay? Babylon falls around 539. When Babylon falls, the next thing you know, you're reading in Daniel, and then he's in the Persian court. Right? With Xerxes or Cyrus and Darius and so on and so forth. Okay? So the collapse of the Babylonians was what? 539 BCE. Okay? So Daniel's getting this insight. That's why it's like this stuff hurting his head. Stuff is hurting his head. Okay? All right, let's look at Daniel 8 through 14. So in Daniel 8 and 8, we have the he-goat. We see the rise. And we get in verse 10. So this he-goat, out of this he-goat there comes one little horn. Okay? And it waxed great, verse 10, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and their stars to the ground and stamped upon them. He magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. Sorry, it's something to notice, the daily sacrifice taken away. And the host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. Okay? And then if we scroll down, we get to verse 21, same chapter. I want to pull out a few about the daily sacrifice, the host of heaven being casted down. All right, and we have this rough goat is the king of Grecia, right? We talked about that, Alexander the Great, and broken up into 4 kingdoms. And in verse 23, in the latter time, okay? So, 8 and 23, we're going to break this verse down, okay? And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors have completed their transgression, there shall stand up a king of fierce countenance and understanding stratagems. So does anybody remember what latter time meant? Can anybody read that?
Later?
In Hebrew.
Oh.
Sorry.
With the okay, I'm sorry.
Akarit.
Say it again.
Akarit.
Correct. Okay. So we take away the vav, and we would have acharit, right, which is meant the after part of something, the end of something, the posterity of something. So when we get to Daniel 8 and 23, we get a hint, right? We have a end, right, as in this that Yah's talking about right here will come to an end, but it also says in the latter time. So not just in the time we're specifically talking about, because right now it's not even in Daniel's time. But when that time comes to an end, and then keep in consideration the latter time. Mm-hmm. So Daniel's in one point in time, he's seeing goats and rams who are not really on the scene yet. Then he's already getting the end of the time. But then when we see the acharit, we know that this is something that can also mean the end of time. So we call this our training grounds. This Chanukah is a training ground, preparing you. Okay, so in the latter time of their kingdom, we see the acharit, malkutam, right, at the end of the kingdom. Okay, so it will make sense when Yahshua comes on and he talks about to the times of the Gentiles being fulfilled. Right? Well, when does Yahshua come? Who's in control when Yahshua comes?
God.
Who's in control? The Romans. Well, the Romans after the Greeks or before the Greeks? After the Greeks. So Yahshua says the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. Well, there was a ram and a goat. The goat knocked off the ram. So we're talking about the end of the goat the end of the goat's time, but va'acharit can also mean end of time. And then your teacher comes along in another time and says until the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. Something to keep in mind. Right, so it is not salvation important, right? But to see who the players are in the world today, to let you know what part of time you're in. Right? We got some clues here. Okay. Let's turn to Romans 5. See why people use phones and stuff. It is a little faster. Just push the button, you get there. And I'm there. I like that exercise with my fingers. Romans 5. Okay, Romans 5. Verse 1. Oh, my bad. 15. My bad. Romans 15. We then that are strong, verse 1, ought to bear the infirmities of the weak and not to please ourselves. Let every one of us please his neighbor, for it is good to edification. For even Christ pleased not himself, but as is written, the reproaches of them that reproach thee fell on me, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and cover of the scriptures might have hope. Now, the God of patience and consolation grant you to be like-minded. Okay? Getting to the end. So you have to have a certain mentality to get to the end. Okay? There's going to be a lot of stuff going on that has nothing to do with you, but has everything to do with you. Daniel 8, we just saw goats and rams, and ain't none of them got to do with Israel. But it's got everything to do with Israel. It's not, I'm not talking about you, but you showed in the midst. So now the God of patience and consolation grant you to be like-minded one toward another according to Yahshua HaMashiach. So once again, people are not going to have an understanding mind in this last quarter. And are going to be bat feces crazy. I was very political in that. You know, feces, the scientific word for you know what. They're going to be bat feces crazy. Because they're not going to be of a certain mind. And you have to have a certain mind to get to the end. Because in the mind and one mouth, glorify Elohim, even the Father of our Lord Yahshua Mashiach, Wherefore receive ye one another as Mashiach also received us to the glory of Elohim. Now I say that Yahshua HaMashiach was a minister of the circumcision of the truth of God to confirm the promises made unto the fathers. There were certain things that got shown to Daniel. They got to come to pass. There were certain things told to Abraham. It's got to come to pass. Certain things told David. It's got to come to pass. There was those things that were spoken got to come to pass. And we're in a point in time where we might see some of those. And if we don't, our kids might. And if not, our kids and our grandkids. So most people, you're alive when if you're blessed, you see your grandkids. So we're closer than what people think.
Yeah.
We're close to what people think. And that the Gentiles might glorify Elohim for his mercy. As it is written, for this cause I will confess to thee among the Gentiles and sing unto thy name. Right? So one reason why we see this about the Gentiles is because someone must be amongst the Gentiles. Someone must be among them for this power or this redemptive, this recovering hand of Yah to go. If he's talking about bringing in others, then apparently when he goes fishing, when he throws that net out there are other people there. Okay, we would know them as Israel. He said, okay, rejoice ye Gentiles, ye nations, with his people. And again, praise the Master, all ye Gentiles, and laud him, all ye people. And again, Isaiah saith, there shall be a root of Jesse, and he that shall rise to reign over the Gentiles. In him shall the Gentiles trust. Who shall the Goyim, the nations, trust. Now, the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace, and believing that you may abound in hope through the power of the Ruach HaKodesh. And I myself am persuaded of you, my brethren, that ye are also full of goodness, filled with all knowledge, able also to admonish one another. Nevertheless, brethren, I have written the more boldly unto you in some sort, as putting you in mind, because of the grace that is given to me of Elohim. Okay, and we talked about some weeks ago about avoiding complacency, right? The whole little as the world turns. Folks think about the soap opera show and all that stuff. Your mama and grandmama them used to watch. It's a soap opera. It's called Life. I ain't talking about Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence neither. Okay, it's a soap opera called Life. Stage is set every day. I've got all kind of characters out there. Some good, some bad, some ugly. Where are we at? That's what y'all want to know. Where are we at? So we talked about in avoiding complacency about the what? The time changing, right? After Sukkot, right? We get back and all of a sudden you got daylight savings time, right? And what was something we talked? We talked about that there's what? More darkness, right? There was more dark. So we kind of used the parallel of something physical and spiritual, right? We talked about how Yahshua said, hey, but there's not enough time in the day to work, right? So we get to this time of the year, Shabbat. That sundown gets here quick. Like, damn, when you get 2 o'clock, it's like 2 hours or something. They get here quick. There's more darkness than light, right? And that since there's more darkness, it's easier to become complacent. Because we're kind of like in a hibernation stage. You're like a big old grizzly bear, right? And it's night. It's I'm in my cave sleeping. My belly full. My fur keeping me warm. I can sleep. That what Brother Battle said, the earth goes to sleep at this time, right? So there's more night, more darkness. We looked at it spiritually, paralleling with the physical. And if we are overtaken by this darkness, we become what? Nocturnal. And now you can see in the dark, and you can go on about your business. You can go on about your business, player. You can see in the dark. So you got you can daytime, nighttime. You're okay, all right? And we looked at that as a metaphor, okay? So Chanukah is also called the feast of what? Dedication, which takes place when? In the winter, when it's cold and what? Dark. So when we go through the Maccabees, they fighting hard as I don't know what, to reclaim the what?
Temple. And that's why they call it a temple. The festival of lights. It's dark. They put lights out.
Yeah, so you put yourself live. That wasn't even where we were going. Sometimes you just gotta listen. Gotta listen to something. So we're talking about not becoming nocturnal because of this darkness. Brother, give me Mark 11:7.
And they brought the coat to Yahshua and their garments, and threw their garments on him.
11:17, I'm sorry.
11:17.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was teaching, saying to them, has it not been written, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations?
A house of what?
Prayer,
What house he talking about?
his temple.
Oh. Huh. He talking about the temple, huh? So in the feast of the dedication, the feast in this winter time, it's very dark. What got overtaken?
Temple.
The temple. Why not in the spring? Why didn't that happen during the springtime? Why not during the summertime? Why it gotta be that time? Then Solomon was talking about things of a time, you're born at a certain time, you live at a certain time, you do all these things. So why particularly then? So, I might be going too far. I ain't gonna go there. So darkness, season-wise, changes. We have the nations doing what they do. And all of a sudden, the house of prayer has now became a den of thieves. That's what Yahshua said. Now, this time, it was actually worse than a den of thieves, wasn't it? So, in order for darkness to overtake this physical temple, we went through this in Bible study. In order for it to take over the physical temple, what had to go first? The mind had to become dark. Was it in 1 Maccabees, 3rd chapter? There was a brother named Onias. Devout, holy to Yah. Had all Jerusalem right. Everything was on point. But there were some sad, sorry brothers around, huh? That wanted to take his spot. Some of them wasn't even of the sons of Aaron, and wanted to take his spot. Their mind was dark. Amen. Daniel said, man, that he go so fast, it ground, feet don't even touch the ground. So when we get to this time of year, we always like to talk about, hey, Hellenization was just the military. Greek fashion, Greek style, Greek thought, Socrates, Plato. So the mind became dark first. Then the temple became dark. Statues all over the place, altars all over the place, sexing all over the place. People ain't got no clothes. Nudity all over the place. But when the mind became dark, the temple became dark. Right? So when Yahshua, so look at that in two ways. They make my house should be a house of prayer. So that temple should be a house of prayer. What about your temple? Because once again, there's more darkness than light right now. How your temple doing? It's the season that we in. This Chanukah, it's just training ground. It's just practice. Don't go Allen Iverson on me. Don't go AI on me. You know how good I am? I don't need no weights. I don't need no nutrition. I don't need no extra shots.
Oh my goodness.
Chanukah, training grounds for days ahead. So there's going to be a lot of slang. But the book told you that. Not going to be slang. Their mind going to be dark. And if your mind dark, basically your temple going to be dark. What you mean? 1 Maccabees. Can somebody read, First Maccabees? I'm gonna start at verse 18. Read 18. And, Jeremiah, go look at my bag or bag. I should have another book.
First Maccabees chapter 1.
First Maccabees 1, 18 through, hurry up, 18 through, 30. Go ahead, brother.
Gotcha. And made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel in Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof.
You took away what?
The golden altar, the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof.
The candlestick of light?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And the table of shewbread, and the pouring vessels, and the veils, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He also took the silver and the gold, and the precious vessels, and he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned. The virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of woman was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them.
He spoke what to them?
Peaceable words.
What kind of words?
Peaceable. But all was deceit, for when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people in Israel. You said to 30?
Yeah, to 30.
That's it.
Now, did we hear that?
Yeah.
Some darkness fell on it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Now, we didn't read it, but and you need to read on your own. Okay, and if you're watching, you need to read on your own. But earlier in this chapter, you're going to see that there are wicked men. Okay, there are going to be, history-wise, there are going to be changes of kings to this king to that king, to the Ptolemies, this king to that king, all kind of. They're doing what they do. But the people in Israel at this time, they're not A1 with Yah. They're not A1. They don't have a hedge of protection there. They don't have a hedge of protection. So regardless of what the presidents do and prime ministers do, we got to be A1 with Yah.
Amen.
To have your hedge of protection.
Amen.
Because he's so good.
Amen.
I protect the country. I protect the state. I protect the county. I protect the city. I protect one. He look at his track record. He's undefeated. He's an undisputed champion. He done knocked everybody out. It's hard for him to get a fight. He got to mold his own fight. I'll give you 25 moves ahead. I give you 25 moves ahead. I give you 2,000 years to go. He stopped at 30, verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall and mighty towers, made a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They stored it also with armor and victuals. When they had gathered together of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary and an adversary to Israel. They shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it. Are we hearing that? And so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made a habitation of strangers, and became strangers to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths to reproach, her honor into contempt. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Didn't we read something about policy in Daniel? So I'm going to come and I'm not the taste out your mouth. I mess around and kill somebody valuable to you. And then I'll come back around. We're going to draw up some laws and get some peace. You want some peace? Obey these laws. You want some peace? Obey these laws. You want to keep your job? Obey these laws. You want your children to be all right? Obey these laws. You want to eat? Obey these laws. We good. Everything kosher. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites. How many of them? A bunch of them. Consented to his religion, sacrificing to idols, and profaning the Shabbat. So, for everything is written 4 times, written for my what? Learning. So what do I know in my time, in the end? It's going to be a bunch of Hebrew Israelites. I can show the evidence. Big old stripe of yellow down their back like Big Bird off Sesame Street back in the 80s. That's the best, and that's a whole lot of yellow. Big Bird ain't nothing but yellow. But you ain't going to be able to see it because you're going to be looking at the wrong thing. You ain't be looking at that. You ain't looking for the fruit. Y'all sure told you what to look for. The fruit. Hebrew Israelite. I can show the evidence. Yellow. Because whatever everything's written 4 times is written for my learning. So I need to understand if one of these laws change, some of my people going to change. Actually, a lot of them going to change. For the king had sent letters by messengers to Jerusalem, to the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice. When we read that in Daniel, daily sacrifice. And drink offerings in the temple. That they should profane the Sabbaths and the festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols. Sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. They should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they may forget the law and change all the ordinances. You've heard that before, right? Someone seeking to change the laws and times. So not mentioned in Timothy? Mentioned in Daniel? Timothy? And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said it should die.
Harsh.
Self-same manner wrote he to all whole kingdom. So I'll say it again. It's not just was the territory of Judah, but everywhere they conquered, everybody got to get down with the get down. Everybody got to get down with the get down. So if I don't care if I'm in certain parts of Africa, I don't care if I'm in certain parts of all the way over in China, if I'm in control, everybody getting down with the get down. So once again, it's not about you, but it's about you. This is big, right? My whole kingdom. Judah's small. They're small. But my whole kingdom, everybody got to get down. And it ain't about you, but it is about you. Somebody's watching. And they want to know, will the light shine? Especially in a time of darkness. Will the light shine? Because didn't he say? Would they take up at that temple?
They took the can.
They took the menorah out of there. So where you shine?
Amen.
In a season where there's not a lot of light. And your temple will be attacked. And you got to get good practice. Because these things will roll over again because history repeats. But no, I don't do that Hanukkah stuff. Or no, I was too busy getting ready for Christmas. In other words, I ain't been in practice. Then all of a sudden, game day. It's too late now. Now you're gonna be running around like a wild man, a wild woman with no understanding. Get away from me. You ain't getting me killed.
Right.
Where I stop off, I'm sorry. Verse 51. In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. They're going to come find you out. Make sure you're giving it up. Can't hide. Because they couldn't hide. Unless you go like whole hard AWOL, which they did. Like I said on Wednesday night, some of us are not cut from that cloth. That fight was their fight. So we had talked about fighting a good fight. You got to know how to fight. The scriptures are giving you and showing you how you're going to have to fight. The way they fought ain't be the way you got to fight. It's going to be a different kind of fight. But some of us want to dress up and play games, and I want to be King David. I want to be Ruth or somebody, and I want to reenact this stuff. Like, man, that was their time. You were sown right now for this, so that you to do what you got to do.
Amen.
You can't do what they did because you ain't him or you ain't her. You got to be you. Go over to Hollywood. Go over to Hollywood. Sell your soul. Sell your soul. They'll take you and put you to work. Put some good work in you. Sinbad said that you ain't come here to sell your soul or nothing. You know, he's a comedian. Comedians always now he's telling the truth. He wasn't joking. Come out here, you ain't got to sell your soul. Everybody else, man, face was serious as that walk. You know, I'm serious. Don't come out, you ain't got to sell your soul. So apparently people must be doing what? Selling their soul. To many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, so they committed evil in the land, and drove the Israelites to secret places, even where they could flee for succor. Now on the 15th day of the month of Kislev, in the 140th and 5th year, they set up an abomination of desolation upon the altar, and built idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burned incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. So not just at the temple, but at your house. You see that? And burned incense at the doors of their houses. Now back in the day, there would be a righteous king, and they would come and knock people around, and you know, they would still do their incense where? At the high places, right? But it got so bad here in 55, they had incense at the door of their house. So not just the temple, but your home, your neighbor. So in the future, if there's not incense coming from your house, what you want? Boom. He ain't doing what he's supposed to do. Get him. Whatever written 4 times, written for your learning. When they had read in pieces the books of the law, which they found and burnt it with fire. We talked about months ago. About them laws that they're in California. Talking about some, hey man, it can't be no book sold out of a bookstore that's got anything to do with trying to get me to not be gay or lesbian. Can't no books. But what about the Bible? Oh, we ain't talking about the Bible. We ain't talking about the Bible. We don't mean the Bible. So what should I expect? To come from my scripture. Whatever is written aforetime is written for your learning. Human being is supposed to be a temple of Yah. I'm going to snatch your light and I'm going to snatch your law. Whosoever was found with any book of the Testament, or if any committed to the laws, the king's commandment was they should put to death. Thus did they by their authority unto all the Israelites every month. I got a new moon for you. To as many as were found in the cities, in the 5 and 20th day of the month, they did sacrifice to the altar idol, which was on the altar of God. At the time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women and caused the children to be circumcised. They hanged infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and conformed in themselves to eat anything unclean, wherefore the rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meat, they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was very great wrath upon Israel. So this should make sense when we get to Revelation. We talk about those who are martyred. Right? People are going to get killed.
Yep.
Right? Now, it didn't have to be this way if everybody was just cool, like whenever Onias was in charge. Okay. So 1 Peter. Wherefore, laying aside all malice and guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow. That ye may grow. So you got to be a newborn babe. Why? So that you can grow. Okay? If so, ye have tasted that the Lord is gracious, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of God, and precious ye also as lively stones to build up a spiritual house. Why? A holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay? So, it's not a knock to be a newborn babe. It's a good thing. And once you become born again, you start drinking your milk, which is the word, that you may grow. So it's necessary that we grow. That's not a knock to grow. Okay? So, we got to be born again. We have to grow so that we can be a spiritual house, right? Another word for a spiritual house would be a what? Temple. So it's part of Yah's will for you to be a temple, to be a lively, so an actual temple. Okay? Now, Genesis 3 and 14. And the Lord God said to the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all the cattle, above every beast of the field, upon the belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman. Enmity between thee and the woman. So the women have the ability to bring forth from their womb a power or a vessel that can, what's it say? And between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head. Mm-hmm. So when this prophecy goes out, when these decrees are given to Adam, or to the serpent, to Eve, to Adam, they're listening. So they're going to try to buck the system, right? We get the whole people and angels and trying to buck the system. If I can defect humans, then this seed of hers can't bruise the serpent's head. You can actually bruise the serpent's head. But because of sin, and thou shalt bruise his heel, as in the serpent can bruise your heel. When something gets your heel, or we do what? We fall. Sometimes we fall, we have a hard time doing what? Getting back up. That's the mind. We read that in Romans about the mind. Mm-hmm. Gotta have the mind. Gotta have a good understanding. So there's enmity put between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. So Peter is saying something that's taking us back to this. Because you gotta be born again. You gotta be born again. You must be born again. You must be like a child. Okay? You gotta be like a child. Why do you need to be like a child? Easy to train. Easy to train.
That's right.
Your brain is going to retain more. You're more capable of listening and learning, and easier to correct as a child. So even if I'm a 38-year-old man, right, I must be willing to be born again. Amen. Though I'm 38, I'm willing to start all the way over as a newborn babe. And then with the milk or the word, I'm able to grow thereby. Because it's more than just you and your body, but your body is a temple. that must hold my light. Because at some point, there's going to be a lot of darkness. And even if it's darkness, there will still be light. And that power or that responsibility has been given to you. It's been given to you. But if the serpent just eats up your heel and you keep falling down, what did Peter say? I got to take this thing off. So there's a bigger plan, but you got to be getting into practice right now. It's a great time to begin practicing. It's about your temple. Got to be like that. Little baby. Like a little baby. Eyes up, paying attention. I don't understand, but I'm willing to do. I don't understand, but I'm willing to do. Why? I trust you. Like a newborn child. Babies don't just come out the womb and start walking. At some point, they start walking. And you know what the big motivator is? When mommy or daddy's across the other way, like, no, I ain't gonna come pick you up. You gotta get from there to here. You just gotta trust me. I ain't letting nothing bad happen to you. So this is the terminology used to say, hey, you gotta be like a newborn. You gotta be born again. Okay, gotta become babes in Christ again. All right, 2 Maccabees quickly. 8th chapter. Brother Aaron, can you read that 12 through 29?
Now when word was brought unto Judas of Nicanor's coming, and he had imparted unto those that were with him that the army was at hand, they that were fearful and distrusted the justice of God fled and conveyed themselves away. Others sold all that they had left, and withal besought the Lord to deliver them, being sold by the wicked Nicanor before they met together. And if not for their own sakes, yet for the covenants he made with their fathers, and for his holy and glamorous name's sake, by which they were called. So Maccabeus called his men together unto the number of 6,000, and exhorted them not to be stricken with terror of the enemy, nor to fear the great multitude of the heathen who came wrongfully against them, but to fight manfully, and to set before their eyes the injury that they had unjustly done to the holy place, and to the cruel handling of the city.
Say it again.
And to set before their eyes the injury that they had unjustly done to the holy place, and the cruel handling of the city, whereof they made a mockery, and also the taking away of the government of their forefathers.
So, this is where your mind got to be at. 'Cause your mind, that's where your mind got to be at.
Yeah.
Go ahead, read.
For they, said he, trust in their weapons and boldness.
They trust in what?
In their weapons and boldness.
Uh-huh.
But our confidence is in the Almighty.
It's in who?
The Almighty God, who at a beck can cast down both them that come against us and also all the world.
He can do what?
He can cast down everybody, the world and all those that come
So,
against us.
for you in your time, you know who you're going to have to turn to. Because you got a weapon, and nobody else got access to it.
Right.
But the question is, are you in a position to hold it?
Gotcha.
Is your temple right?
Mm.
When you do that emergency call from your temple,
Mm.
will you get a response? Will you get put on hold?
Mm.
If you get put on hold, you know what's going to happen to you, right? You have to doubt. You have to doubt what you believe in now. You have to doubt what you believe in. Go ahead, read.
Moreover, he recounted unto them what helps their forefathers and had found.
He did what?
He had recounted unto them what helps their forefathers had found.
So before Shaul even say, whatsoever things are written aforetime is written for our learning, he about to start calling out what Yah's unbelievable record. Go ahead.
And thou they were delivered when under Sennacherib, sorry, and 180,5,000 perished. And he told them of the battle that they had in Babylon with the Galatians, how they came, but 8,000 in all to the business, with 4,000 Macedonians, and that the Macedonians being perplexed, the 8,000 destroyed, and 120,000 because of the help that they had from heaven, and so received a great booty. Thus, when he had made them bold with these words, and ready to die for the laws and the country, he divided his army unto 4 parts, and joined with himself his own brethren, leaders of each band, to wit, Simon and Joseph and Jonathan, giving each one 1,500 men. Also he appointed Eleazar to read the holy book, and when he had given them this watchword, the help of God himself, leading the first band, he joined battle with Nicanor. Okay, I got you. And by the help of the Almighty they slew above 9,000 of their enemies, and wounded and maimed the most part of Nicanor's host, and so put all to flight, and took their money that came to buy them, and pursued them far, but lacking the time they returned. For it was the day before the Sabbath, and therefore they would no longer pursue them. So when they had gathered their armor together and spoiled their enemies, they occupied themselves about the Sabbath, yielding exceeding praise and thanks to the Lord, who had preserved them unto that day, which was the beginning of stealing upon them. And
Make me a house of prayer.
Make me a house of And after the Sabbath went, they had given part of the spoils to the maimed, and the widows, and orphans. The residue they divided amongst themselves and their servants. When this was done, and they had made a common supplication, they besought the merciful Lord to be reconciled with his servants forever. Moreover,
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's good, though, ain't it?
yeah, it
You
is.
get to read that thing, you want to stay in that thing. Stay in that thing. Stay up in there. It's good now. So, we get an idea that when we hear things about Chanukah, we hear a lot about what's the miracle that you hear about? We hear about the light it lit. They had enough oil for one day, and it's lasted for 8 days. Why don't I hear about that? Why don't I hear about the hand of Yahuwah coming down? Why don't I hear about these heavenly figures coming down, slapping the soul out of people? Then slapping the soul back into them. Why don't I hear about that miracle? So I don't want you to be, we're not gonna be commercialized. Not gonna be commercialized with this, but we gotta understand that the things that Yah has done and has allowed, they will happen again, because it's written as prophecy, and it's got to take place again. This will be our last passage for tonight. Let's go to 2
Okay.
Corinthians.
Never mind if it's going.
2 Corinthians. I told y'all I wasn't gonna be tomorrow. 2 Corinthians, 4th chapter. Wayne's talking to me. 2 Corinthians, 4th chapter. You know, look at it this way. It wasn't necessary, and I think it's in Hebrews it talks about how the same gospel that we have, they also received, like Moses gave, like they received the same gospel, right? But the understanding, right? The revelation by Yahshua. So it was revealed to us to be a temple. It was revealed to them to build a temple, to go to the temple. It was revealed to us to actually be a temple. Amen. I wonder if y'all knew that there wasn't going to be a temple no more. I wonder if it was kind of already in the protocol that a part of our fight would be that when it comes down to the Chanukah and we're reading, like before they go to war, you put your mind on the temple and how they desecrated it. And you fight like you ain't fought before. and your God will go before you. But see, we can't relate that because there's no temple. That's why I've been bringing up here lately about the bouncing around and hip-hopping and flopping. So it's hard to kind of put your mind in this festive time on a temple and an altar when you mobile. As soon as I hear something I don't like, I'm out.
Yeah. Right.
It was an honor to make pilgrimage from wherever you live to the temple. So there's a disconnect for us. So Yah says, okay, you're the temple now. And the fire that was in the temple, I'll put a fire in you.
Amen.
And don't you let the fire go out. May it burn day and night.
Amen.
You trim them wicks. You beat the olives and you squeeze the oil out. Make sure there's plenty of oil. Then your teacher come along. What did he tell you? He said, hey, there were 5 of them that had oil. 5 of them that was lazy. That had no oil. Hey, let me borrow some oil, brother. Let me borrow some more. Look to me and say, you better hurry up and buy you some more. I go down to the market, drop by some more right quick, and I come back, they go. I'm at the door. Let me in. Master say, I don't know you. You ain't put enough practice. You ain't put enough practice. So it's different when we put this in a literal context. And then we kind of transition over to what Yeshua and what the disciples and apostles were teaching afterwards. Okay? You are a temple. You. Because apparently in our time, it must have been known. Well, actually, we'll talk about that tomorrow. 2 Corinthians 4, verse 1. Therefore, seeing we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not. Can't faint, brothers and sisters. They have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty. At some point, the lies gonna come out. And so there are some lies are just simple things like, who you are and who your ancestors were, and get that out your mouth. Get that out your mouth. And there are some things that are small, little simple lies. But there are things that are hidden. Because remember, Genesis 3 and 14 now, that the seed of that woman, it can crush his head, the seed of the serpent's head. So you're supposed to be a head crusher. There's a song, I'll be a head buster, a head buster. You're supposed to be a head buster. The serpent's head. You're supposed to be a head buster. But see, the serpent has worked diligently to keep you from busting head.
It's all good.
And not walking in craftiness nor handling the word of Elohim deceitfully, but by manifestation of the truth, commending ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of Yah. We were talking about earlier, brother, about the word will whoop your conscience. You got to go beat some people up. The word will do it. But if our gospel be hid, it's hid from them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. The word of mind. Lest the light of the glorious gospel of Mashiach, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. That's why you're a temple. Because Israel's cast among who? The nations, Gentiles. And they're going to praise him. Are you shining light that makes the nations say, man, what is it with you? Who are you? For we preach not ourselves, but Mashiach, the master, and ourselves, your servant, for Yahshua's sake. Are we able to serve? For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined in our hearts. Uh-oh. Because you're a temple. Light should be coming out of your heart because you're a temple now. Didn't Cephas, who was real close to Yahshua, he said, hey, look, he's trying to build a spiritual house in this you. Has shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Yah in the face of Yahshua. We have, here let's pay attention, but we have this treasure in earthen vessels. So you have something special in your body. We have this treasure in your earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power, what power? May be of God and not of us. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. So what do we take from this experience of Chanukah that we're reading? They never quit. We're going to get to some points where we're going to want to quit. And you can't quit.
Amen.
Because your ancestors didn't quit.
Come on.
Right? And take it to I'm going to take it down a little bit lower level. Those that were on the slave ships, high death rate. High death rate. But there were some survivors. They were fighting to stay alive. High death rate. If there's death all around me and sickness all around me, the mind is like what? Tap out. But there was strength to survive. So if they'd have been weak-minded, you wouldn't be here today.
Right.
Someone had to intervene.
Amen.
To keep people alive. Then when you get here, the conditions, someone had to keep people alive for you to be here today. So you're carrying on a legacy.
Come on.
So when you go back farther in time, when you read about the chaos and the turmoil and the violence and the burning and the looting and the robbing and the raping, but there was survival. It's in you. Not just to survive, but to fight. But you got to fight the good fight. You got to fight your fight. Do what you are made to do. Don't read somebody else's resume and try to be them. Verse 10, always bearing about in the body of the dying of the Lord, Yahshua, that the life also of Yahshua might be made manifest in our body. For we which live are always delivered unto death for Yahshua's sake, that the life also of Yahshua might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. Do we see this? Might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. So then death worketh in us, but life in you. So you're a temple harboring something. And then your tabernacle's got to fall, but you're going to get a new one. Come on, read this chapter. We have the same spirit of faith, according as it is, I believed, and therefore have I spoken. We also believe, and therefore speak, knowing that he which raised up Yahshua shall raise us up by Yahshua, and shall present us with you. What's one thing that you notice when you go through Maccabees? What are they talking about at their last breath? What are they talking about?
Being raised up.
They're talking about the resurrection. They're like, you might kill me now, but I'm going to rise again. I'm going to rise again. For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of Elohim, for which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. Amen. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but things which are not seen are eternal. So I hope we laid some ground out from fighting the good fight from Bible study to tonight talking about the Chanukah, and it's the training ground for days ahead. Because trust me, there will be someone standing in the temple running their mouth. There will be laws and a darkness over all the earth. that will not be about you, but it's going to be about you. Because when you talk about superpowers and leaders and nations today, they ain't talking about the so-called Negro. But you're everywhere, under the sun. They ain't got nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do about you. So once again, y'all gonna do what he gotta do. He's gonna allow the nations and superpowers to do what they do. But what will the scattered do? Will they be like some of their ancestors and give in? A bunch of them. I love Hellenism. You read your New Testament, you know who the Sadducees are, don't you? You know the Sadducees are the offspring of the Hellenists? That's why they don't believe in the resurrection. That goes against Greek thought. You're going to do what? You're going to be resurrected, huh? I kid. And they did. So what goes around, comes around. And at some point, it's going to be your turn to play ball. At some point. Just don't be like Iverson. I don't need no practice. You know who I am? I'm Jeremy Farmer. I've been spitting this word. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. I don't need no practice. Well, I got Google. I got all kind of books. I don't need no practice. The game of your life is right ahead. If you only knew. I be playing these 35-year-old leagues, these old man leagues. And I say every time, I really kind of wasn't ready. I should have been a little bit better shape. I really kind of wasn't ready. Now I'm sore. I really wasn't ready. Get yourself ready. Use this time of dedication to get your temple ready.
Amen.
So that you can shine light. You should know now darkness is coming. It's not going to be a lot of time to work. You should understand there's going to be some things changing around your life. Laws or regulations or stipulations that would kind of throw you off your kilter. You should be ready for that. At some point, right? I can't be a baby no more. If I'm in this word and I'm on this milk, I gotta be grown. Man, when I was a child, now a little boy, I did little boy things. But at some point, I gotta be a man. And I put childish things off to the side.
Yes, sir.
So that I can be a man of y'all, or I can be a woman of y'all, or I can be what I'm supposed to be in him completely. So that when drama comes, or war comes, or darkness comes, I already got my oil. I got light. I'll be a place of refuge for somebody. And not a place of deluge, of destruction. And I go through my cycle all over again. Not ready. Watchman wasn't ready. Wasn't no shofar blown. And now I got a crazy king in my temple telling me what to do. And I'm conceding to everything that he's saying. And then I think y'all gonna look at me and say, oh, he's all right, poor little boy. And Linda Vaughn, little boy. That's Tommy Jones' little boy. That's Luann, little girl. He's not gonna say that. People died, man. I don't think people died. People died. That serpent in Genesis 3:14, he ain't forget. We do. He ain't forget. Because as we just read 2 Corinthians 4, there's a treasure within you. The adversary said, I'll be damned if I let them run loose. And you know what's going to happen? He is going to be damned. He said, I tell you what, if I'm going down, they're coming down with me. But ain't that what we read about that one of them horns that he pulled down the host of heaven? You're supposed to be representative of Yahshua HaMashiach on this planet. When you get to certain times, certain seasons, darkness gets its momentum. Yah, we know how Yah is. You seen Job, you like, go ahead and get at him. Don't kill him. But go ahead and get at him. So we know that darkness can come and Yah can be like, let's see where he or she at. So we got to be ready. We got to know today. We should have a good grasp on these seasons. Understand the significance so that our spirit man and woman may grow. Not about our flesh, but the inner man or the inner woman may grow. That it may grow. All right, well, thank you. Give all praise to Yah. Probably end up going a little bit longer than I said I was gonna do, but that was a training ground for the days ahead, and we will pick up on some more things tomorrow, revolving around this feast and where we are today, and some things that if you did not know, you will know. And a lot of times we say stuff like, "Oh, it's the end, it's the end." We say that, and we're going to see some things or talk